Hi guys, it's Nicole and Archie. He's being very needy today, so we're holding him like a baby. So this is the start of a new reading vlog. I think this is going to be more of a weekend reading vlog. It is Wednesday today, but it's my day off. Then I'm working tomorrow, then I have Friday and Saturday off, and then I'm working Sunday. Yeah, a weekend reading vlog in my sort of weekend structure, I guess. I am in my library room and I'm actually about to like take down my books and everything, and I'm feeling quite sad about it. So basically my brother, who is moving in with me on Saturday, he'll be moving into this room, and I thought about for a long time getting rid of most of my books. I knew that it was going to be something I did when I had to move this place. I just don't want to carry my books around again. I've moved a lot and I have hauled these books all across Victoria, and I'm kind of not wanting to do that again. I really wanted to try and reorganize my bookshelves before my brother moved in and film a bookshelf tour. I wish I still had time to reorganize these, make them all pretty, and film a video just for myself. But I thought maybe instead I can start a new vlog, which I've been meaning to do the last couple of days, and I can just sort of show you the books as a mini bookshelf tour, because it's not aesthetic enough the way these are set up to do a whole video on, but I feel like we could just do it in a vlog. Yeah, okay, let me just show you the books and the setup, okay? Okay, let's start from the entrance. This is the entrance. Okay, hello. It's a mess, like I said. We have a box of books here. These actually belong to my brother, who is getting rid of them. He doesn't want any of them. I will go through, see if there's anything I'm interested in. How I've always organized my books is in categories. So here we have pretty much all my childhood books. I used to be obsessed with Lizzie McGuire. So I have a whole stack of books with Lizzie McGuire. I've got Percy Jackson, I've got Eden Blyton. Oh my god, these are a throwback. Ranger's Apprentice. They were my favorite thing. One of the first fantasy series I ever got into. I was so hyped about them. Okay, so this bookshelf here is full of all my teenage books, books I read as a teenager. I've always organized my books into my phases, so I would have a shelf here, that's all my childhood books. Here were all my teenage books, random a collection of adult books, and then books I read because of booktube, and fantasy books are kind of grouped together as well. So this I started trying to organize, and my idea was to again organize it into phases, but my teenage phases. So this shelf was going to be all vampire books. This one here I think was going to be dystopian. These are all my adult books. They're just adult fiction, thrillers, historical, a whole mixed bag, some classical up the top there. I was going to rearrange this and have more books stacked up on the top. But yeah, that's not going to happen. Most of these books are going to go, to be honest, because they're all from the charity shop pretty much. And I just grabbed whatever sounded interesting or I'd heard of. And I've never read them, so clearly that was a mistake. So mostly these three shelves, or bookcases I should say, they're not shelves, these three bookcases are all full of fantasy books. So I wanted to have a Brandon Sanderson shelf, which I started. And over here was Shadowhunters, and then these are a mix of favorites and books that are atop of the TBR, because this is where I mostly filmed. So books I wanted to sort of show off and sort of represent me and my channel, I guess, I would put here. And then there's whole random ones on the ground. Ones that I do not like and I do not want to be seen liking are all hidden down there. Most of them I'll probably get rid of, to be honest. What else? And then up the top are more books that I honestly just did not know what to do with. That I did not have space. They just had to be kept up there. And then I wanted here, this was originally going to be a retelling shelf, but I actually have so many books that are retellings. So it's all over the place. There's more back there. So yeah, there's a lot. There is a huge amount of books there. There's Robin Hobb, My Robin Hood collection. Oh my god, I have to actually stop and talk about this for a moment. How stunning is this, okay? It's a really old edition of Rebecca that does not want to show you it's Rebecca. Can we have some focus? There we go. Look how pretty it is. This belonged to my mom. She loves this book. It's one of her favorites, I think. So I stole that from her when I was a teenager and I've never given it back. She does know I have it now. Like, she found out many years later and she was cool with it, I think. She hasn't asked for it back, so I'm assuming she's cool with it. And then I have like all these random little ornaments that I was like gonna put on my shelves, but I haven't done. So my mission today is I need to try and empty out one bookshelf, and I want to try and move one bookshelf into the living room to start to stack up just books I definitely want to keep. But I'm going to be listening to my audiobook while I do all that, and I'm currently listening to The Book of Cold Cases by Simone St. James. This is my first book by her. I only knew that she was like a thriller mystery author, but I didn't really realize that she might have some ghost or supernatural elements to the story, or at least this book. I'm not entirely sure about her other ones. This story follows this girl who's 29 years old. She works as a receptionist, and as a child she was abducted. So she has a lot of trauma, and she was able to get away from her captor quite quickly. It's still such a traumatic experience that she can't let go into cars, and it's also made her very interested in criminals. So she has a blog that she runs as a side hobby where she investigates cold cases. And one day while she's working at her job, so she's a receptionist in a medical center, she comes across this woman whose name is Beth Greer, and she was a suspected murderer back in the 70s. She ended up not being sent to prison or convicted of murder, but the case that she was involved in or suspected to be involved in is still a cold case and like one of the biggest mysteries in the area that our main character lives in. And our main character follows this girl, Beth, or this lady, this girl, I shouldn't say girl, she's an older lady. She follows Beth, and she just like wants to have a look at her because she's so curious about her and the story. And Beth realizes that she's being followed, and then the two of them meet, and now our main character is trying to uncover the mystery of this cold case that Beth was involved in. So she's talking with Beth, she's going back and meeting with old police officers who worked on the case, and she's just becoming very obsessed with this case. And the house that Beth lives in, it seems like it's like kind of haunted, so that's where the ghost element is currently playing in. I'm liking it. Like, I don't love it, I wouldn't like put it at the top of my recommendation list yet, but I'm enjoying my experience listening to it, and I'm hoping I could probably get it done quite quickly considering how much organizing of books I have to do right now. So we're making a mess. Archie's trying to help or be in the way. Which one is it? Damn, I have so many books I don't care about at all. Like, this series I tried to read twice. I read this first book twice and I did not like it, and I own the rest of the series, which granted I did get the rest from the charity shop, which is why I got them. Why do I still have this? This series, I hated this trilogy, absolutely hated. I did read the sequel that followed two characters, Cole and Isabel, because they were my favourite characters throughout the whole series, and then they got their own book, which wasn't any better because these were just awful. I've held on to these for so many years. I've moved all these books across so many different places, but oh my god. Also, I'm kind of coming across books that I forgot I owned that I loved. Like this trilogy, where I don't know where the rest of them are, but I adore this series. It's like Assassin Nuns, and each book's a companion book in the trilogy, so we follow a different character. I think this last one was my least favourite, but overall, a really great series. Okay, like moving books around and bookcases on your own is exhausting. I think most of these will be going because they're my teenage phase books and I don't really care for most of them. There's a couple of old favorites I did find and they've made me tempted to do a dedicated video to reading my old favorite books. I wanted to update you on my progress on my audiobook, The Book of Cold Cases. I am currently at 42%, so I'm almost halfway there. We're getting there, folks. I like it. I think it's fine. I think my thing is though, is we've got the two storylines, okay? So our first storyline that we're introduced to is Shay in the present day. It's 2017 and she's got this blog of cold cases that she writes, and that's what the book's named after, The Book of Cold Cases. That's her blog, and her sort of uncovering Beth's secret. And then we also, after we've met Beth, we do have flashbacks from Beth's life in the 70s and from her POV. We also get a look at the case she was caught up in, and also one of the main police officers on her case. He's also a big part of the story. And then in present day with Shay, she has a sort of relationship with this other police officer who she just messages and calls and sort of gets a consult of sorts from him about the cases that she writes about in her blog. I think that there's kind of too much focus on these relationships. So there's too much focus on Beth's relationship with this Officer Black back in the day, and there's too much focus on Shay's relationship with Michael, who's the police officer. I was leaning on a pile of books. The pile of books just fell. Like, whoops. Anyway, like these romances are trying to blossom between these ladies and these police officers, and I don't really care about it. I feel like it's taking away from the mystery at hand. Overall, the book at the moment is sitting on about a 3 stars. I just want more about the house. I found the whole house aspect of the story really interesting. The story sort of building the house as a character itself and making it seem like it's haunted, but we're digressing from that with the love interest storyline. Good morning. It is the next day. It's Thursday. It's almost 7:30. I am currently 56% of the way through the Book of Cold Cases. I had to put it down last night because I was suspecting a reveal, and I really did not want this reveal to happen. I did not want the book to go down where I thought it was going down, and it went down that route, and I don't like it. I'm not happy. I'm not the biggest fan of the two timelines. There's sort of multiple different timelines, because with Beth's story, it does go back and tell her story, but it doesn't go back chronologically. We sort of jump around to relevant parts of her life that need to be explained in parts of the story. I'm a little bit confused by the fact that I'm 56% of the way through, because I'm pretty sure I know now who the murderer is in terms of the cold case, but I'm wondering if it's going to come back and be about Shay's almost abduction and murder from when she was little, because that just keeps being brought up, and I don't know if that's being brought up because it's like a major part of her character, this trauma, and this is why she's interested in murder and cold cases in the first place, or if it's actually a storyline that's going to come back in. It could be either, but I feel like because of how much time we have left of this book, like I'm only just over halfway, there's got to be more, right? I have work at 12 o'clock. I need to try and get as much as possible done before I go to work though, because I've still made such a mess in terms of like reorganizing everything, so I need to try and get that done. And then I'm going out for dinner tonight with some friends. We're going out for Thai at this like Thai restaurant I really like, which I'm excited about. And then what else am I doing? And then tomorrow I have off, so my next check-in will probably be tomorrow. Okay, hi guys. So it's the next day. I went out for dinner last night. I had my Thai food. It was amazing. We ordered so much that I got to take a takeaway bag at home. So I've got food for lunch, like leftovers, which I'm so excited to have because I have a really busy day ahead of me. It's the last day before my brother moves in and I really gotta get as much done as possible. And I've got to slow down my talking. I do have a reading update. I managed to complete the book of Cold Cases. I didn't like it. Gave the book 2 stars. Like, I knew the whole story the whole time. Very early on, I guessed who the real murderer was. I guessed the twist. It didn't even feel like a twist. The problem is the major reveal of the story is revealed around the 50% mark. And you know, I think from 15-20% of the way through the story, at least I knew what direction the story was going to go. I had guesses, I had assumptions, I was hoping I was wrong. I've never wanted to be more wrong about a reveal than I have reading this book, and I hate that I was right. I really hate it this time because I wasn't a fan. There was no other real reveal. I mean, I guess there was one more, but again, I guessed it. And the thing is, I was kind of surprised, no, not surprised, but I didn't expect these reveals to be the reveals, like especially one of the last ones, because I thought it was obvious. Like the things that were happening, the reveals that were being revealed were so obvious that to me they weren't even reveals. I don't think it was supposed to be as thrillery as I expected when I went in, and that's fine. I think it's more of a mystery, but there was no mystery. Like, I had solved the mystery very early on. My enjoyment and anticipation of the story was just, I was disappointed by it all. I need to start another audiobook. I've attempted to start like 3 or 4, whatever I attempted to start. I attempted to start One Dark Window, which is a new release, and I'm not sure if I like the narration, so I stopped listening to it. Then I was like, maybe I'll try Silver in the Woods, and I just don't know if I'm in the mood for that kind of story. Then I thought, maybe what about Things We Never Got Over? And I didn't like the dialogue in the first couple of bits I listened to. So I don't know what kind of mood I'm in. I think I'm going to try next is In My Dreams I Hold a Knife, because I've got that from my library as well. And hopefully I vibe with it. So I am listening to the audiobook of In My Dreams I Hold a Knife. So far, what I can tell you is the protagonist is awful. Most of the characters seem like they're awful. But the story, I'm very intrigued. I'm going to keep going and give you like a proper update later. I've moved my bookshelves, so we have one there, my desk with a pile of books in the middle, and then another bookshelf there. So I'm going to keep reorganizing them. I'm happy with this positioning, and I'm going to try and narrow down all my books to do bookshelves, but we'll see if I succeed. It might not happen. It might not happen. I might fail because that light. It's gonna be hard. Can we just take a minute to take in the number of books behind me? These are the books I'm gonna get rid of. It's actually been quite an interesting process because I've never like considered unhauling books before. I've always been very determined to hang on to them. And as I was going through this, first of all, it felt very relieving to like decide and know that I'm going to get rid of these and I'm going to have so much space. But also it was so much easier to make the decision that the books that were going are the books that I've read. I am umming and ahhing about books I haven't read. I will be filming unhaul videos, so I will go into detail about what I'm getting rid of, because I still have like a tiny bit of attachment that like I want to document it for myself in some sort of form. Plus it'll be like interesting content, it'll be good content, so that too. Anyway, reading update. I've made some really good progress on, what are you called? I forget the name of this book every time. I feel like I just do this with audiobooks because I'm not looking at the name as much as when you would be reading a physical book. But in my dreams, I hold a knife. I am currently 54% of the way through, and I am really, really enjoying this. At first, I wasn't sure how I was going to feel because the protagonist is awful. Like, all these characters are awful, but particularly this protagonist. She is so judgmental towards other girls and how they look, and she has to be better. Like, she is determined to be better, not just in look, but in everything. Like, she always has to have the best boyfriend, she has to have the best career, be the best in class, and it's a little bit exhausting. At first I found it particularly exhausting to read from her perspective, but I've kind of not forgotten that aspect, but I guess because it's less part of the story now we're like really into the plot and the mystery. So essentially we're introduced to our main character, Jessica, who in present day is 32 years old. She's very, very successful. She lives in New York. She's very beautiful. She's quite happy, or I wouldn't say happy because she's not a happy person. She's content with her place in life, with her status, with her careers, with her prospects. Essentially, she gets invited to a reunion for her college, and she hasn't seen a lot of her friends in years. They were very, very close in college, and they essentially haven't really seen each other much since. And you know from the get-go that one of them was killed, and one of the other ones in the friendship group was accused of the murder, but then got off from being accused because, well, you find out basically there's not enough evidence. This book ends up switching between timelines, between present day, sort of Jessica and being introduced to her, then her going to the reunion, like us sort of seeing her friends again 10 years later and what they're up to, and then going back to the past, to their early days in college and just sort of their group dynamic. So essentially it's about this group, this tight-knit sort of elite group. Like, they were like the popular kids, they were the in crowd. They all have their own secrets, like every member has their own little secret going on. But Jessica doesn't know who the murderer is, and so when they come back to the reunion, things are starting to unravel. So basically this book is like unraveling the mystery behind this murder. And I feel like the book is so much more interesting than I just described it. Like, I am very captivated by the story, and I do not know where it's going, and I'm enjoying it. I really think the characters are interesting. Like I said, they're awful characters, but they are making for a very engaging story. Here is the unhaul pile, so you can get a little bit of a close-up of what's there. Oh my god, there's so many I finished In My Dreams, I Hold a Knife, and I am giving it 4 stars. I really, really enjoyed this one. I am kind of surprised, just from like how my impression of the book was at the beginning. Didn't think I would be coming out the other end giving it 4 stars. It was interesting to read this one though after reading the Book of Cold Cases, or because I read the Book of Cold Cases before I read this one. It was interesting because everything I didn't like about the book of Cold Cases, I liked in here, in this second book. I loved how the two timelines was done in My Dreams I Hold a Knife. I really liked the romance that happened, but in the book of Cold Cases, I felt like it was so irrelevant and I didn't care. And I think what it came down to was characterization. I just really loved the characters in My Dreams I Hold a Knife. So yes, I'm really happy, I'm really pleased. I feel like I don't have much to say on this book. It's definitely not going to be a book for everyone. I think if you're someone who can't read about flawed characters, and then this isn't going to be for you. I just loved this because I find flawed characters really interesting, but what was amazing about this and amazing about the writing was I came to empathize with Jessica. I came to like her, and I'm kind of shocked that she is still like really flawed, sort of messed up. I liked her as a character. I don't like her as a person. She would not be my friend. I think the reason the past storyline works so much better in this book compared to the book of Cold Cases is because we had Jessica's POV also in the past, whereas in the book of Cold Cases we had two different characters' POV in two different timelines, and they were just two separate narratives for me that I never felt that, you know, engagement and need to keep reading. And I just checked with my library, they have another book by the same author of In My Dreams I Hold a Knife. This other book is called Fool Me Once, which I've downloaded now. It's gonna be my next read, but I'm gonna end the vlog here because it is long enough. It is time for me to upload a new video. So if you've made it this far, leave me the scissors emoji, and thank you so much for watching. I hope you're enjoying whatever you're currently reading, and I hope to see you next time.